That makes it so easy for me now. It slipped.
Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
I am Andrew.
Dan.
Hello.
Threw me off for a second. It was such a long intro.
We were all thrown off. This is a board game rundown. Today, we are going to go over top 5 board game mechanics. So Jason's number 1, Katie's number 2, Joel, their old host by default, I guess, is number
Hear
3.
that, Katie? You're number 2.
And that's our list.
That's our list.
Yeah.
Well, somebody
Thanks
might
for
have
watching.
Katie as number 1.
They're pretty okay. Oh, what?
But Bob, before they hear the definitive list,
Yeah.
what should everybody do?
Make sure you like and subscribe, ring the bell, share the videos with your friends, find us on Discord, find us on Facebook. We're out there. Absorb it all.
Comment on the video.
Yes.
Comment
Yes,
on
would you
the
just
video.
tell
Let
us what you
Let
think?
us know.
Yeah.
And in case you didn't know that whole thing at the beginning, Jason and Katie there's a podcast and a YouTube channel called The Board Game Mechanics.
Yep.
Are people that I'm quite fond of.
Yep.
And that's them.
They're pretty okay.
They're pretty okay. So yeah, we're going to go through our top 5 mechanics in board games.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm going to do, not to speak for everybody else's list, I'm going to name my mechanic and
Yep.
then I will reference a few games.
Yep.
On how they implement it and why I like it.
Same.
Also known as mechanisms for the sticklers out there.
Yeah. there's
I
a
heard
big-
the
there's a big
sticklers say it the
debate.
other way.
Oh, really? I thought it was the other way. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
So whatever, whatever, potato,
Mechanism,
potato.
mechanic. Yeah. It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
Mechanic.
Mechanica.
So usually for our top 10s and 5s, we'll just start here and go around.
Go around the table.
Okay, dokie.
Sounds good to
so
me.
So Bobby,
Number 5.
Number 5.
We were going to say there was going to be like an echo.
Oh yeah, all right. Okay, so Bobby.
Yeah.
Number 5.
5.
That was terrible. It
was
the first time.
So, anyways, so my number 5, I went with engine builders, right? So, Splendor, Wingspan, Terraforming Mars.
Wait, how do you spell Splendor?
Splendor.
D-O-U-R?
Splendor.
Splendor. Okay. Splendor.
That sounds like you're saying an ER.
It does, but it's,
Splendor.
colloquial.
Potato. Mechanism.
One of those is wrong.
We're off to a smashing
We are
start.
knocking it out of there. Some Civ games have some engine building stuff in there. I'm really excited about BA Games has a new engine builder coming out called Forges of Ravenshire.
Yes.
We got to play a little bit of test of that. I'm super excited about it because it's like the engine's kind of already started. Because a lot of times I feel like with engine building, you start out so slow, and by the time you get it humming, the game is over.
It's also just a really cool theme.
Yeah.
Forging weapons and armor and stuff is just a really cool, and throwing the wood in the fire and
Yeah.
smelting metal
There
and
was
everything.
so
Like,
much to go with
This
that.
is really cool
It
stuff.
was a cool game. Yeah. So, my number 5 is engine building.
Boring.
My number 5 is Press Your Luck. Listen,
Nice.
shut up. You love some of these games.
I do.
Garbage.
Clank,
Yeah.
it's Press Your Luck. No,
There's a little bit.
especially original Clank. As you're
Sure.
going further down, you're trying to get more points.
Yeah.
There is some of that pressure
To
of-
stay down.
The
and go
stay
on.
down and try
you're
to
talking
get
about
more-
like the late game presser.
Yeah. But also, Dead Man's Draw is a great Press Your
It's
Luck.
a fantastic like $10 game.
It is Mayday Games. Quacks of Quedlinburg,
Yes.
fantastic Press Your Luck game.
This is true.
I mean, that
it's
is
one of those games that I suck at, but I still like to play.
Oh, I love playing Quacks. But
That's one of those games that
Always
I suck
blow
at.
up your soup first few rounds.
that's it. No, you're simple. Yeah, nothing else to add on that? Just checking.
There was a period there.
So my number 5 is. I guess do we need to? I guess so. Press Your Luck is like
sure.
any time where you are
Pushing your luck.
you're pushing your luck. You maybe you're
blocking
extending your turn or your gameplay. So instead of maybe ending the game early or your turn early for a better benefit.
Should I pull out another one? Should I stop?
Yeah. Should I draw another chip?
Try to roll that die again, or it could come up a craps and be bad. Yeah.
What was your first one?
Engine building.
Engine building.
So forgettable. You
I
know,
know, it's so that was probably my most basic one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basic.
Yeah.
Daniel.
my first one, my number 5 is definitely not my most basic one. I tried to do something a little different here.
Uh-oh.
Since we just jumped right into 5 with Bob and haven't really talked at all about the list. I tried to be a little bit more micro with my mechanisms in this one of like instead of saying an overarching like almost genre of game like a Push Your Luck, which I do have some of in like that in there. I have little mechanisms that go well in every genre. You know what I'm saying? So the first one I have is
Push Your
something
Luck.
The first one I have is something that has been taken off lately, and I love the feeling every time this is in the game. And I guess Bob shared with us a website that kind of had someone kind of list everything that they had heard, and so
Yeah.
that was really good for like quick memory of like yeah, and then some other research of course too. But so what they called time track, and this is where player order
Yes.
is whoever's in last or something like that.
Right.
I love that idea. Something that we played semi recently that did that was so the Search for Planet X.
Oh, yeah.
To where as you're taking actions, your actions have a cost that move you ahead that many spaces, and until you pass someone, you keep going. So you can do a bunch of cheap actions
like patchwork.
Like
Yes.
Patchwork,
Played
Australia.
Yeah, Australia's
yeah,
a
it's
big
one of my favorite
another one
ones
was,
that does that.
I believe, Bob, I was trying to think of the game that did it, but there were a couple in my head. Is it Merchant's Cove that has that clock in the middle, and it literally has a clock?
I think it was.
And it's
It might have
whoever's
been.
whoever does the least amount of actions keeps going. I believe it's Merchant's Cove, but that's something that is taking off. It's in a lot of games now, and
Yeah.
every time it's in a game, I'm like, I'm going to enjoy the round order in this game more
We
than
need
the
to
other
play
games.
Australia.
If this was
then.
Yeah, I
a
haven't
top,
played that yet
if it
either,
had been a
too.
top 10, you'd have seen this at number 6 for me. Right. Because it was on my list. It is,
But so my number 5 is I wanted to call it clock order, and then I saw
Yeah.
someone called it time track,
track.
and so I'll
Yeah, time
accept
track.
time track.
Sure.
And say that I love that. Again, that can be in a worker placement game, that can be in a deck building game, that can be in a push your luck game, and it will always improve it, I think. So that's my number 5.
agreed. It's good.
So my number 5, it really brings out the little bit of manliness that I have.
Uh-oh.
I love
That's why it's 5 and not 1.
Yeah. I like setting the stage on a board game and you saying like, this is my area and I'm going to take over your area and I have a secret plan to do so. So my number 5 is area majority. And my favorite games within this genre, and then I'll talk about it a little bit, is Troyes or Troyes.
Troyes,
Like that?
No,
Troyes.
I watched you play it.
Ugliest game on the planet, but I love that artwork, just that ye old medieval
Yeah.
artwork. Eclipse, which I'm still waiting on our Eclipse Day.
I know we've
boys.
talked about it.
The King is Dead. Similar
The
artwork
King of Dead-
to Troyes.
King is Dead is I like the I've only played the first edition, but I enjoy King is Dead. But I like Tammany Hall, which is more in depth, longer form version of the King is Dead.
Yeah, and Blood Rage, obviously. I just like the idea of there is an opposition, so I'm either going to like slowly build up and then try to take it over. I like games that aren't completely punishing, that give you that ability to kind of redeem yourself if that attempt to take
Doesn't
land over
work.
doesn't work, which is why I don't have Game of Thrones on here, because the first time I played it, I just sat. I don't know who I was.
Yeah, Turtle.
Because I haven't watched Game of Thrones.
I actually think you were forced to be the turtling one, wasn't he?
He was Starks.
That was the second
was
time I
Starks.
played.
I
the
was
first time
the
I played,
Greyjoy.
I sat on an island
Oh.
and I had a
He
boat.
was the Greyjoys the
and I
first
was
time and
just
didn't do
sitting
anything.
there for 2 hours with my boat, and I was so landlocked. It didn't give me a chance to.
You know what I did is I made allies with my neighbors and then got them to fight
Yes.
other people for me.
So
Meanwhile, me in the corner is going, "Do not trust the Greyjoys; they will betray you."
We will not sow.
So my
Our
number
socks.
5 is area control. I like
Area majority.
Area
Area
majority.
majority.
Area majority.
Technically different.
Yes.
Area majority.
As I will talk about later.
Yes. Oh, good. Some crossover. Yes. Area
Similar.
majority.
Cousin. Sexy cousin.
Area majority is Court of the Dead.
Yeah.
So we will listen to the rest of your list.
Mission
and see if
Red
we need
Planet,
to,
was
if we
also
need to
a
play Court of
area
the Dead with
majority.
you, because it's a fantastic game.
Okay. Area majority.
It
My
is.
number 5.
but Dan won't play it.
Number 4.
Number 4.
Number 4.
So there wasn't a ton of games like these, and I'm starting to see more and more of it, and I like it. Bag building.
Yeah.
That would be my number 6.
I knew it was.
But
I knew
deck
Yeah.
building.
there's not enough.
It's deck
Not enough of
building.
them, but they're
they
coming
could fit
out
under the same
right?
umbrella.
So Quacks, right? To mention Quacks.
Yep.
Orleans, that was one of my early bag builders. I really.
I
Yep.
feel like
love.
there's a hidden movement game that Tim loves that does this as well.
Sniper Elite.
Clank.
That's on there.
Love Clank. That's bag building.
Sort of.
Oh,
I mean,
for
it's
sure.
technically bag building. It's such a not bag building feeling part of the game,
Correct.
but it is definitely
It's
bag
a
building.
it's a feature.
Wonderland's War.
Haven't played.
Right, it's got bag building in it. And new game I just filled Trudvang has like bag building, so your skill chips are all going in a bag.
Oh,
And
okay.
as you test your skills and stuff like that, you're pulling out so many
Sure.
and seeing how many you get.
That seems to be
So
a way that a lot of people use a bag building is this kind of like building up your thing and then hoping that, okay, well, I have enough of level 3 stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully I pull level 3.
I thought that was going to be a smart alecky thing from Dan. Like, well, that's kind of how like bag building will work.
You put it in a
You
bag,
put a bunch of
then you
stuff in
take
the
it out
bag,
of
and
the
then when you
bag.
draw it out, and that's what you get.
I think Hyperborea's got bag building.
Yeah, I think it does. Haven't played it. Own it. Haven't played it. Shelf of opportunity for years.
Yeah, I think I played it once, but it was a long.
Is Orleans bag building?
Yes.
I mentioned that one.
Oh,
I
you mentioned it,
love
okay.
Orleans.
I don't listen.
It was one of the first. I know, Spencer.
Awful
One of the first ones that I
expansions.
had and owned and like played, and like everybody like that I had played it with like really enjoyed
Yeah.
it too. So
Sure.
Do
Cool,
you like
cool,
the competitive expansion for Orleans? I think it's called Invasion.
Invasions and Intrigue. I actually haven't played a lot of that one.
Sure.
because yeah,
Because, yeah.
Because, you know.
I have it, and I say most people that I have played with played the original version and didn't really want it to change a lot. Like they wanted
Really?
to play the game they knew. Well, it's because I use it for an intro
did
game.
come out in the 1700s.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think Orleans is one. I think I have it as a 6 on Board Game Geek. But then the expansions for Orleans, I gave them 9s and 9.5s because it is so necessary.
That's what everyone
got
says.
play.
Whatever
Orleans.
version we played for the board game roulette, I absolutely
It
loved.
definitely
That was
had an
my version
expansion in it.
without the. It had the expansion,
Yeah, it
but
had
not
one
the
of them.
intrigue. In
Yeah.
it. It had
Okay.
the other expansion.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, that's literally if you had to list 2 games that are like that's Orleans, Champions, and Midgard. Those are the 2 games that everyone says you have to have the expansion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Number 4, Tim.
My number 4 is area control.
Oh,
So
that's different. How
Talking
is that
about
different?
my little bit of manliness. So area control, usually you're scoring points and things by controlling areas, right? So area majority, you need the majority of your things in there to proc, right? So area control by default is similar, I guess, because you
Yeah,
need to
it's-
control it. But there are some games that have these things like War of Whispers, right? Is
Yes.
an area control, area majority.
Area majority.
You know, there's some crossover there. Cthulhu Wars, as we talked about, maybe that was in a different review. But Cthulhu Wars is definitely an area control because there's areas with gates that you score points for doing. Ankh is an area control game that I absolutely love. Star Wars Rebellion is an area control a game that I love. I even feel like Concordia has some area control as you are where
I
you
still
build.
haven't played that yet. I know.
gosh,
It's like
Bob.
Tim's number one game. And I
You
haven't
would
played it.
love
Really?
that game so
That's what I keep
much.
hearing too.
But because of like where you build in the different cities, and you can kind of muscle people out because you make it harder for them to do things there.
And again, I know it's a minuscule difference, but that's clearly the difference, right? Is that in area majority, like in Court of the Dead, I can have 3 guys there, you can have 2 guys there, your guys stay there, we don't fight, I get the thing because it procced. And the next turn, you can build up your guys more and try to take it, right? To where in area control, if we're in the same area, we fight or something,
Yeah.
right? Like I
Yeah.
need to,
Axis and
like,
Allies game.
That's
the
a-
round will end
one or
with
the
one
other.
of us
That's
in the
that's a
area.
good way to
Yes.
put it, right?
Yeah.
That's a very good way to put it. And then Game of Thrones is there is
More
an
area control.
is more area control, but I mean. Cousins, right? They're cousins.
Yeah.
They're very
First
close.
cousins.
They're very close. Yeah, they can't get married.
No. Well, unless you're never mind.
This is an Indiana-based board game channel.
But yeah, this is some of my favorite games. Because the way I did my list was I looked through like some of my favorite games of
what you
all
like
time
about them.
and what do they do?
Yeah.
Like what do they do? And I have a lot of overlap because there are games that are going to get mentioned because they have obviously more than
things
just
you
the
like.
one mechanic,
Sure.
right?
What?
But yeah, so area control is a real big one for me. But the fact that it's 4 just speaks how loudly I love the other ones on my list.
Dan?
So my number 4 is one of my 2 macro mechanisms or something, if you want to call them that, right? It's the big umbrella
Micro,
term.
macro, Crime City. It's just the game itself.
But I just like them that much that I have to mention them, and that's worker placement games. I always argue, huh?
I would say that's like a full-on mechanic.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, like
Yeah.
big,
That's-
broad.
it's macro.
Not
This is
not
your
micro.
mechanic.
You got
Yeah.
in the micro. He's
I did.
macroing.
I did.
Yeah.
No, cool.
But worker placing is, I always go back and forth on if I like deck building or worker placement more. Honestly, the best thing ever is them together, but that's
you
not
just
one
tell us your number
mechanic
3?
yet. But
Deck placement.
I put my deck here.
I just call it the Dune Imperium route. That's my favorite mechanism. But so the thing though is that I think I enjoy deck building more, but deck building can be bad more. Worker placement is very rare to be bad. Worker placement games are just good. Like it's a very clean system. And most worker placement games that you play, you will find enjoyable. It might not be your favorite worker placement game, but you can see, oh, this was a worker placement game. Toward deck builders,
And it's
just
hard to
like
make a spot on a board that is completely overpowered because
Right.
then it's like during playtesting, everyone would be going there.
well, and there's so many
So-
interesting things people do with them, with especially the Shem Phillips games, right? Where it's like put one worker down, pick up another worker, and you
Love
proc
that.
both spots, right?
Yes.
Forges of Ravenshire.
Yeah, I was
you
gonna do
mentioned
that.
has that mechanic in it. One of the games where you have like 30 workers at the beginning and you keep placing them out, and you don't get them back. So, but like if I put one worker on wood, I get a wood. If the next turn I put another worker there, I get 2 wood. If the next turn I put another worker there, I get 3 wood. Like it builds up, almost engine building.
My father's
kind of,
work,
right?
does
Yeah,
that
there's
really
just so many
well.
unique
Lots of good.
ways to do
do
worker
that.
placement, and they all feel different.
Agreed.
Again, Champions of Midgard, I know that you're not a fan, but
No,
just the
but
fact that
yeah,
you're
but I love
building
Lords
an
of Waterdeep.
army of dice
Yeah.
in how that works and stuff. It's just another interesting way that they implemented worker placement and stuff, and so I don't know. If I had to name my favorite macro, almost like genre, like I've been calling it, I think worker placement is probably it because I like such a large percentage of the ones that I've played. Toward deck building, I probably like more, but I like a lower percentage of them. I dislike a lot of deck
There's
builders.
there's a higher
don't
miss
do it
rate
great.
Right.
than the than hit rate.
So
Sure.
anyway, you guys, you place a worker out and you get what it says. That's worker placement. You guys all know that. But,
Typically, it also involves that blocks the spot.
Exactly. I would actually agree with that. And I do think there is a slightly sharper definition than a lot of people say out there. Like, I really hate when people say, well, my pieces are called workers, so when I put it on the board, it's a worker placement game. No, it's not. I hate that so much.
Yeah.
Any game could just call your pieces workers then, and it's worker placement. Like, that is such a semantic weird thing that I don't like that.
And I like it when games like Viticulture or whatever also have like unique worker. So you've got your
Right.
bonded
Different types of
worker
workers.
will,
Yep.
will allow you to do different things. That's a very generic
Terracotta
version.
Army has a very similar system.
Sure.
Yeah.
As Viticulture. But yeah, anyway, you guys all know worker placement. That is my number 4.
Andrew,
What's my number 4? It's already been stated.
worker placement.
I'll state the name of the game and you got to figure it out.
Okay.
Because that's
Code names.
Deduction? We haven't
Hasn't
stated
said
that.
that.
Press
yet.
your luck.
Press
Oh, it is press your luck.
Oh,
well
with
done.
with the adding
Like,
extra
am
Yes.
I
lines.
gonna should we continue?
I like
I
it.
could give this clue, but it might lean towards that one too.
I like it.
Codenames
I like
is
it.
one of the greatest games of all time.
Love it.
So is Vladish Fatil, creator of Codenames, one of the best board game designers or developers. He's a designer. He's a designer. Yeah.
Vlade Chavatal is what I was.
I say Shvatil. Please correct me in the comments.
Yeah, I've always
if I
heard
get that
Vlada
wrong.
Shavatal, but who knows?
There's no way it is
Please-
Shavatal.
Please
That's
tell
like
us how wrong we
Vlada
are.
Shavatal.
You're gonna feel
like
bad
you're
if that's right.
galloping
Now.
Exactly. He's gonna comment now.
He's like, I was gonna send you
Vlada,
all the code name
please
games. But
correct
now I'm not
me.
gonna.
Oh my gosh.
Codenames is Wait, this isn't about Codenames. This is Pressure Lock.
And now
love
back
the
to our
feeling.
review of Codenames
Yeah.
from 2015.
So I have. We'll just cut this. I have Quacks. I have Clank. I have King of Tokyo.
Yeah.
I have Codenames. There's nothing better than just like
and you named
I'm
a bunch
gonna
of
go
games
for
that
it.
I
I
can
should have
think of at
named as
least
well for Push Your Luck.
5 things better than push your luck games.
well, good thing you have your own top 5.
I mean, I could think of 4 better, but Push Your Luck is great. I absolutely love it.
there's something that Press Your Luck games have that other games can't, and it's just like that. Yeah, oh my, I can't believe, like, my favorite card in King of Tokyo is to get one of each dice, and you do 11 damage or something like that, or 9
right.
damage, and it's just so much fun to just do something
luck.
crazy, push your luck, and then just get that high payout in the end. So
Yeah,
No
for sure.
whammies, no whammies,
no whammies, no
Stop.
whammies. I will get the whammy, but that's okay because Press Your Luck is my number 4.
right.
Bob.
All
I
right.
don't hate Press Your Luck like a lot of people say. I just want it to be in a 10-minute package usually. I don't like playing an hour and a half of Push Your Luck. That's
fair.
all.
I think that's
fair.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Number 3.
So my number 3 is probably gonna have 0 crossover here. Simultaneous action selection.
That's
Games
good.
like War Room, Lords of Zidit, Roll for the Galaxy, Taverns and Tiefenthal to an extent. You can kind of wait and do those in order, but a lot
Can
of
you
times we
explain
put
what
them
you
all-
mean by that? before
Sure.
we-
So simultaneous action selection. So everybody's kind of planning their actions or doing their actions like all at the same time, and then we reveal them.
Okay.
Right? And so then they're
And then
all
that's what
going
you're
to
doing.
take place. Right? So roll for the galaxy, you're rolling, you're putting behind the actions you want to do behind a screen. Once everybody's done, remove the screen. Those are the actions that are going to be
Right, so
happening.
it'll be
that round.
like, has anyone
doing
chosen phase
delivery?
1? Okay, everyone activate your phase 1. Has anyone done phase
Yeah.
2?
That's the new
Everyone activate
Terraforming
that.
Mars, what they do in that as well, right?
Sort of, yeah. The Ares
Ares
expedition.
expedition,
Yes, it's got a similar mechanic to get into as well.
Oh, you're right. It adds the roll for the galaxy. Race for the galaxy
Yep.
thing. You're right.
But my favorite implementation is the war room, right? Everybody planning all of their stuff at the same time.
Diplomacy.
Definitely the most
famously
thematic version.
did it.
Love it. Yeah, because everything's happening. I'm like in war going, well, we already taxed, so now we got to wait and see what they do. It's like, no, everybody's doing all their stuff simultaneously and then revealing. And then like Lords of Zidit has a great thing like that where you're planning all your actions out. And then as you reveal them and start to activate them, like somebody could literally go the path you're about to do and take all the actions you were trying to plan on doing and just totally thwart your entire plan. And just, I love it. Yeah. It's kind of like you're playing the person, also
Right.
not just playing the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, there's
you're
a
playing
social
against the
aspect
people.
there
Yeah.
for sure. It's a fantastic
Game of Thrones.
It's a fantastic mechanism. I was trying to design for a while a combat system in like a tabletop RPG where it's kind of like that, where because the whole weird stuff that goes on in Dungeons and Dragons where it's like, okay, I go and then you go and then you go and then you go and that all took place
Right.
in 6 seconds.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like that's like a weird thing. And so
Yeah.
I tried to have like a card system where people had decks and it would go in turn order and they would lay down a card, but it would just give a hint of what they're gonna do.
gonna
Like
do.
you see me, like I draw my bow or something
Right.
like that, right? And there could be multiple cards that have them draw their bow, but okay, they're doing a ranged thing. I have that information because you see that
See them doing
in
something.
that quick,
Right.
and then I can do something, and then all the cards flip at the same time, and everyone boom,
Moves
and everything
stuff.
happens at the same time. Like I
like
was trying
that.
to make something like that to make
Yeah.
it more action.
Yeah, so like Fury
Okay.
of Dracula's combat, where it's almost like a rock paper scissors kind of thing, where it's like,
I've never seen Fury of Dracula's
but
combat.
where you've got you can play a card and it might leave you vulnerable to X.
Oh, sure.
but is strong against Y.
yeah,
right?
okay, so literally rock paper scissors. Almost,
Yeah, kind of. But I mean, also though, you're kind of making an educated choice though too, right? Because it's
Right.
like, well, they're probably doing something along these lines. So if you had like a really powerful card, which might be like a feint, right? Like where you fake to do one thing and then do the other. So maybe you could trick your opponent into playing the wrong card, right? To
Right.
defend. And now that card's out of their hand and you can hit them with something else. I have nothing to contribute to that.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks.
So that's your number three. My number 3 probably used to be my all-time favorite, but it is now my number 3 because as I dug in, there's just some things that I think I like better now.
So deck building.
Deck building. Clank, Taverns of Tiefenthal, DC, deck building.
You guys have mentioned Taverns now twice, and it just makes me want to play it. It's
Marvel,
such a good game.
It is.
Marvel Legendary. Well, any of the legendaries, really. I haven't played one I don't like.
Right.
I mean, I will say mileage may vary, right, based on the IP.
Sure.
But deck building, and very specifically, not deck construction like Magic the Gathering, where
Or
you
Marvel
sit there.
Champions.
Or Marvel
Champions,
Champions
that's
is a
what I was
deck
saying.
construction game.
Right.
But deck building, where everybody hopefully starts with like an asymmetric power, and then you are now buying cards out of a lineup to then improve your deck, right?
Correct.
So you add. Most of the time, you add them to your discard pile. You get through your main deck, and then you shuffle. And now you're
And
building.
your deck is now stronger.
It's stronger. It's better. Maybe you're culling cards from your deck, so you're getting rid of those starter cards.
Yes.
And so it's deck building, engine building, but really the deck building aspect of it, right? Clank was one of the first games I played that had deck building, but with moving
board.
on a board.
Yeah.
And it blew me away. I mean, I feel like most of us that have played Clank was like, what?
Yeah, the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
This
The
is
first
awesome.
time,
You
it
know-
was like, man, games can do this.
And I've yet to play a version of Clank that I don't like. I still have Legacy. I know I'm going to love it. I just haven't played it yet. Like, without a doubt, I'm going to love Clank Legacy because it only does what I already love
Yeah,
and more.
You'll love it.
Right?
You probably love this too. I already have the new version pre-ordered at the store here.
Oh.
Yeah, so
So,
as we can.
so I will say that there's a lot of awesome potential there. You know what I mean? And deck building is still really good. I mean, this just tells you how good a mechanic it is. Insane Clown Posse has a very competent
Yeah.
and well-made and well-designed deck builder.
do.
It's got its flaws.
It's one of my favorites.
Dude, watch the show.
But the
name of the
ICP,
game?
Into the Echo.
Into the Echo.
into the
side.
Echo side, the ICP deck building game. And I mean, it is fundamentally very similar to some of the other deck builders, but they all kind of are.
Sure.
But what they do, and they do it really well, and it's like, that just tells you not only like how good of a game mechanic that is, that you could put I mean, you can't just slap any theme on there because I will say to their credit, that theme is not slapped on there. The theme makes sense to the
It plays out very well.
right. So, but anyways, deck building is just one of my all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Like I love deck construction too.
Sure,
it's
sure.
not on my list. It's probably 7. But deck building proper, that was one of the first games that I played to when I got into the hobby as it is.
DC, right?
Yeah, DC and Marvel Legendary pretty early.
And I mean,
on,
people
too.
love Dominion, and I know we kind of poo-poo on it here a lot of it, but
But I mean, Dominion is the OG
Yeah,
deck
got a lot
builder.
of
Right?
people
Can't
into
poop on
the hobby
Grandpa,
and stuff.
man.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, don't poop on-
he poops on himself.
You can't. Okay. I know you guys have already said this, but I genuinely mean it. Like if you guys did too and everything, but this would definitely be my number 6.
Yeah.
It was, as a matter of fact, I had 6 things wrote down, whatever, and I deleted deck building to make it 5.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I crossed out bag building because I had that written and then it got bumped.
Well, and going into
So-
your thing about that, by the way, because this is an interesting topic, it's just for 5 seconds.
Bag
so bag
building
building is
deck
deck
building.
building, right? But deck building is engine building. So how far back do you take that? You know, like eventually it's just its own.
just
thing,
Candyland.
You know,
Then
oh,
it's
there
just,
you go.
Then it's just candy.
That would be considered a roll and move. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you guessed my number 1.
Oh, spoilers.
Okay.
Daniel.
My number 3.
Yes, please.
Is another micro one that I just it just improves every game. Every game that this mechanic is in, it improves it. And I have one example that I could think of that does it amazingly, and that is a good catch-up mechanic.
Yes,
Some kind of great catch-up mechanic that is in there. The one that I thought of, obviously throw stuff at me, guys, but the one that I thought of was because there's like 3 in the game or something, and I kept going like, this is amazing, is After the Empire. When we were playing
Oh,
After
yeah.
the
I've never
Empire,
played, but-
when
Yeah.
I was playing After the Empire, I was like, oh my goodness, like they all feel fair and balanced, and there's like 2 or 3 different ways that the game tries to keep you guys
Keep
all
it balanced.
in.
Yeah, because you have more gold. More guys are coming to take
Yeah,
it.
it feels so fair and good
Thematic,
when
yeah.
you play that game.
Quacks has one.
Quacks has a really good one.
Yep.
Quacks. Again, I don't love Quacks, but
Right.
that rat tail system is
Well,
fantastic.
I was just going to say the rat tails
What
and
is,
quacks.
what is the rat tail mechanic based
So
on
the
the
more-
number of rats you have?
In
Between you and the leader.
Correct,
And the
I know
leader.
that, but what is?
Your thing
Your
slides up, and so
starting
you
spot.
start
Yes,
further.
that's where you start.
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Fantastic
It's a
system.
great
There's
catch-up
another game we
mechanic.
played too. I'm just going to
Yeah.
bite me right now. I had that. Yeah.
But leave in the comments any that you guys think of,
Yeah,
because
there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, again, this is a mechanic that can go in any worker placing game, any deck building game, any area control game, and it always makes it better. Something just makes the game. Runaway leaders is one of
Hate
the
it.
most annoying things in a
that's-
game.
what I
Ankh
hate
has
about
the
DC.
greatest catch-up mechanic of all
Ankh has a good
time.
one.
Yeah.
The merge
a
mechanic.
divisive one, but I
Sure.
like it.
When, when utilized properly, it is an amazing
Yeah.
catch-up mechanic. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Well, I was saying like that's my problem with DC deck builders. Runaway because one person can have a really good turn and get like, oh, this card's gonna give me 4 power next time. And now every time they get that 4 power card,
Oh,
like
yeah,
they're just gonna
baby.
be blowing people out of the
love it.
water.
Yeah.
And everybody else is just trying to play catch up, you know? And yeah, there needs to be a way to mitigate
you're not
that.
wrong.
Yeah.
But ways that games can actually fit it in thematically and
Yeah.
stuff. It's just, again, After the Empire is my golden standard because it has multiple ways to do it and everyone is thematic. Again, Bob said, the more gold you get, the more victory points you get, the higher you're on that track, the more gold number you have and everything, the more guys come after you each round
Right.
because you're richer than everyone else.
Yeah.
So your castle is getting assaulted
more. Yeah.
more than the rest, right?
For sure.
And a game with a good catch-up mechanic will always be better than a game without one. You know, like
even Starfarers of Catan a little bit. I mean, because you start
Yes,
with
it has
that,
that-
and as you start to get
that
ahead,
card drawing.
the card, you're getting more resources.
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
somebody's getting ahead, they're not getting those free resources anymore. So you still have that catch-up mechanic of gaining those free resources. They're
And I
trying to
get
catch
that
you
it's
up.
hard to make it feel fair because you don't want to make it feel like, well, I'm playing really good and they're getting rewards for
Right.
not playing as good as me because you
right.
don't want it to
True.
feel like that. And that's why the best ones I think feel fair. They feel like the guy in first is still getting a bunch of rewards, but we're getting these little things that help that make it to where we don't halfway
not
through the
out of the
game, we're
game.
not just like, let's just stop playing. I can't
Right.
win.
Yeah.
Just sitting here
You
waiting
know?
for Tim to win.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
sounds awful.
So
that sounds pretty cool to me.
catch-up mechanics.
That's a
Something
really
that-
good one, Dan. I hadn't thought of. I
Well,
like
not
that.
on my list, but I was pushed back.
I hadn't
Right.
thought of that. That was good. Good.
Number 3 for
Number
me.
3 for Andrew.
I call it private shop, public shop. 2 games do this really well: Everdell and Arc Nova.
Arc Nova.
I
Okay.
love the fact that in both of these games you have cards that only you can play. Cards in your hand. That's pretty standard, right? But there's also a public shop that in Arc Nova, you have to unlock the ability to buy from certain reputation
Yeah, further down, right?
cards.
Correct.
But similarly in Everdell, there's just a public shop for you. So I like the fact that there's one area where you can just buy cards from. Similarly, you have some cards in your hand that you can. It's kind of just like your own. I love the fact that you can unlock it. Like in Arc Nova, in Everdell, the shop is wide open. I know you guys haven't played Everdell, so I'm kind of
No, go for it though. Yeah.
So
no, go for people though.
They have played it.
Everdell.
They played it.
Yeah.
So yes,
especially,
you probably played
especially
it.
that person right there.
You, Johnny.
Yeah, you.
You played it, and you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, just having a shop that is open, that can just consistently get refreshed, but also the ability to unlock certain areas of a shop that, you know, it makes you feel special. Like you worked towards that specific part.
It
of the
rewards you
board.
for building your engine
Yeah,
or
and now
building up
I can
your.
buy something you can't buy.
Right.
That's a little bit different in Everdell because you can't. I mean, the public shop is just that.
Mm-hmm.
It's public, but it almost acts like this shop is everybody's hand. Everybody has a part of this hand, and then you've got your hand,
Mm-hmm.
obviously in your hand, that you can play cards from. So
And you think this feels drastically different than a deck builder because you have a market and your hand that you're playing off of?
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're just wondering because it has similarities.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying though. I think I like it. You know, because also right, your hand, your private shop
Yeah.
is for the. And I don't know about Everdell, but like Arc Nova, it is nobody else can mess with it.
Yep.
Like your hand is always, you're always going to have those options, and then you've got these other options that then you can implement. You know, whether you're adding them to your hand or you're playing them, you know, getting them and then playing them right out in front of you.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's cool. I like it.
Number
My number
This is where Bob takes a number 2 on our list.
No, actually, I think you guys will
did
like this
that.
one. I'm sure it's not on your list, but I think that you guys will like it. Hidden movement, right?
I love me some hidden movement.
Spectre Ops, Letters from Whitechapel, Sniper Elite.
Oh, you were doing
even
so
though
well.
even though I beat Bob in Sniper Elite because I declared it and
Yeah.
I won.
Yeah.
Even though Bob won.
Yeah, he actually
is
beat
an
you like
idiot.
5 times tonight.
Because I said I won.
Oh,
Remember at
Yeah, he did.
at Gen
He-
Con?
We were
Yeah.
playing it.
He said he made like a really smart action. He said, "I won."
Yo, there's no way Bob
just
can
won the
beat
game.
this. I won. And then you ended
man,
up beating us.
I must have missed that.
Yeah. Because you beat us.
Right?
Well-
he beat us. He won.
Yeah.
We won. You just did not accept the terms of Anthony's victory.
But did you
The
declare?
peace accord.
You
I didn't declare
you
it.
have to
just-
declare.
Yeah,
He
declared
didn't declare victory. He just
Yeah.
stated victory.
Yeah, you can't just say, "Well, I won." No, you have to declare.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Sorry, but no, I love it. I love that cat and
favorite
mouse.
mechanic.
We just
Yes.
played Letters from Whitechapel the other night.
so
Introduced
good.
some
Nice.
people
So
who hadn't
good.
played it before. They were having so much fun, and oh my gosh, they had me so close. I was between 2 spots, and I was just bouncing back and forth. And like one turn, I forgot who. I think it was Mike. Or no, it wasn't Mike. It was Chris. Is like, "Well, I'm going to look here," and I was there. I was like, "Yes, there's a clue there." And Mike's like, "Well, I'm going to rest over here," and I'm like, "I'm not there." And then they switched them, you know.
Oh.
And I was like, "Yes, there's a clue there." And then I'm standing on the one spot, and Mike just walked right past me, and I went back the other way and came around to my last. And it was the last night too, because I could have been a jerk and
Yeah.
been like, "I'm going to kill this person here, take my coach, and literally go right to my home," and you guys
Right.
didn't have a chance. I was like, "Nah, I'm going to kill the furthest person away and see
Make
if
it a
I can
game.
get back." Yeah,
Make it a game.
And man, it was. They had me. They coming around, and then Mike walked right past me, and I was able to go around him and
Yeah.
get back to my hideout. Oh, it was so much fun. I love that cat and mouse.
Hidden movement, right? Even though I don't love Sniper Elite, I do love the tension in the hidden movement, right? Where the one player has the hidden information. Some of my favorite games are
Mind
hidden movement
management. You know, that's why I,
was
didn't
gonna
mention
say
it.
too,
It's not
you
on my
haven't played
list.
as a sniper yet.
Yeah,
Too.
this is true.
True.
And I am, now that I've gotten my fill of sniper, I'll let somebody else play it.
How generous! He is a kind
I
king.
will allow you. But no, I love that. Just reading
Yes.
people. You know, like, we played Patrick, you know, and he's like, "Well, I'm gonna go." I was like, "You know what? I'm just gonna make it a rest right here." He's like, "You got me." Like 15 minutes into the game, like, how long is it gonna take? I'm like, "Well, it can take anywhere from 15 minutes to like an hour, hour and a half." So, like, really? That's a weird range of times,
you
but
know.
depends how lucky you get.
Yeah, Spectre Ops, I think, was the first one of these I played, even though
think so,
Letters
too.
from Whitechapel came out first.
Right.
But yes, I really love almost every one of these kind of games that I've played. I just think they're really fun.
They're pretty famous, but I would just say the basic thing is one person is behind a shield tracking all their movements and their piece is not on the board. Everyone else is on it, one team together, moving around the board, trying to locate that person.
Yes.
Hidden.
Movement. You're welcome.
Thank you.
My number 2, man, this was really tough between 2 and 1, but my number 1 is just a no-brainer. Number 2 is action selection. So I am thinking of games like Concordia,
Scythe.
where you've got
Never heard of it.
It's a really awesome game that Bob's played a ton.
Nice.
But you've got these, like in Concordia, you've got a hand of cards, and you play that card, and that is your action for the turn. Arc Nova blew me away. Okay, I wanted to hate Arc Nova, and I don't. But I wanted to. But then when I saw how you do your actions, where they get
Stronger,
they get
basically.
stronger the longer it takes you to use them.
That's why you gotta try that Civ
Which
game.
I don't know who to give credit to, but that is not an Arc Nova innovation. Someone
not.
else
Sure.
did that.
That was
Just
the
to throw
first time I
credit.
saw
That's the
it.
first time he saw it.
The first time I saw it, and it blew me away. I thought that was incredible, and it just went. My enjoyment of that game went from like, oh, this is pretty good, to like, you know.
And I love how you think like, well, why wouldn't I just do the 5 every single time? And it's like, just play the game,
Yeah.
and you will see why that is
will
not the way to
smart.
do it.
You need
Not-
your
not the
and
way to do it.
and again the timing of your action selection, you know, and all of that is so good. Ankh,
Yeah.
the action selection, the way that it works in Ankh is also amazing because it's got this.
In order
It's
type of thing.
basically got
so good.
this hierarchy, right, of actions, and so you can take 2 actions. They have to be different, but one you can't. The order you take them in is important because once you start to go down, you can't go back up. So, you know, like movement, you know, and then, you know, recruit or whatever the actions are. I forget now right off the top of my head. But like, so you can't do this and then go back up here and do this. And then at the same time, it also advances like this meter here, right? As it moves down, and then it procs other things. And so the action selection is so crucial in that game, and like the timing of which you do things. In Concordia, same thing, you know, like the timing and when you take those actions, you know, it's like, sometimes it's like, I'm definitely taking this action. And then Bob will take a turn and I'll go, definitely not taking this action.
I would never in my life take that action.
I wouldn't even think that.
I would murder somebody if they even thought about doing that action. But action selection, there's so many great games with
Scythe.
action selection. Scythe is a really good one.
Scythe is a fantastic system.
That does it really well because it's got this up and down sort of thing, right? Where you do the one and then you
Optional on the bottom.
optional on the bottom, and then it also can get more powerful, right, as you go along, as you unlock more things for it and
Yep.
stuff. And action selection, once I started to sort of, well, when you first get in the hobby, you play games, you're like, oh yeah, I like games and stuff, and then you really start to like drill into some of the
like,
stuff.
I like it when I get to do this. I want to do more of this.
Yeah. And once I realized that was a thing, you know, and it's like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
I really do like this
Yeah.
this is my jam, you know, and so action selection just really just does it for me. I love it. Number 2.
Number 2 for me is asymmetric stuff.
Me too.
Oh, number 2?
Let's
Number
just
2?
talk about it together.
Yeah.
All right.
So like part of me like wanted to just write asymmetric player powers, but that's not necessarily true if you think of like something like Root. It's not your player power, it's the game.
You are.
So like
You are
Win a
asymmetric.
different way. than
right. So
someone
just
else.
asymmetric stuff. And basically, obviously, you don't need a game term for this one because it's just the definition of the word. But just my stuff is different than your stuff, which is different than his stuff, right?
Yep.
And it like the other stuff, that this is why they're my top 5 on this list, is because to me they will always make a game better. Almost every time I play a game that doesn't have asymmetric stuff, I'm just like, how would I implement asymmetric stuff in
Yeah.
this game? How could I work in an asymmetric player power into this game? Because it just always heightens the experience.
Now you have a number 2, which is the same as me, but I do want to add a 2A to this.
Sure.
You brought up Scythe.
Yes.
I disagree with base Scythe, but alongside asymmetry, I also want to add modular boards, because modular boards
Oh, okay.
Also create asymmetry.
is an asymmetrical, always changing board. So even if you have the same characters, the fact that the board is changing every single time, I think is just as valuable as an asymmetrical character or something
Right.
like that.
Well, I mean, that board becomes like your character, right? So like, oh, I'm
Yeah, the board
engineering
becomes a
and
character.
I'm this other character. So then, because you can put those 2 different boards together and swap all
Sure.
that up.
But just any time that you're doing something that's completely different from everyone else, whether it's cooperative or competitive, that doesn't matter. I honestly might like the cooperative ones more because it's so thematic. Like I really like. I don't love the game Endangered, but I love the theme of the Endangered, where it's like, I am the political.
Yeah, I'm the lobbyist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're the person that works for the company, and like and our decks and stuff are all like that. I mean, Marvel Champions we've talked about a lot.
Oh,
That
yeah.
game does such an amazing job of making you feel like those characters. You know, Hawkeye's whole deck is about searching for the arrow. Whenever he reaches back, he gets the arrow he needs. Right? That's like so.
Yeah.
So in the deck, you just you just activate your ability. You just go through the top like 5 cards of your deck, and any arrow card you can like play or whatever, because it's thematically Hawkeye going like this, and
Hold
what
on.
he needs is there. You
Andrew,
know?
so Hawkeye is a Marvel comic book character. Also
Not
was in the
invested
movies.
into superheroes.
Also in the movies, played by Jeremy Renner. Very well.
Good actor. Yeah.
Yeah, really good actor. Anyways, that's a movie and a comic
Thank
book
you.
character
I'll watch for
reference.
Hawkeye or whatever.
Sure.
Not
They
MASH.
were overdoing it. Okay.
We're not Alan Alda.
You know what made me mad is they're all coming out with all these movies, and then I see like Ant-Man or something. Is
Yeah.
that a real movie? Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ant-Man.
Yeah.
It's like you're just milking people for their money.
He's a
No,
real
dude, he's
beloved
hilarious.
hero from the comics.
Like literally,
Is it funny? Is it a
Paul Rudd,
comedy?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a comedy.
Who doesn't
Okay.
love Paul Rudd?
yeah.
It's Paul Rudd.
Who's Paul Rudd?
Jesus.
Oh my god, dude, just
So
so
mine, so
we're gonna cut
mine
that side.
number
Don't
two.
watch movies. And these
except Kung
guys
Pao.
do.
Have you seen
yeah,
Anchorman?
except for Kung Pao. What?
Have you seen Anchorman?
Yes, yes.
He's 60% of the time it works every time.
okay.
He's that
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, so asymmetric stuff, whether it's your player power, your entire character's ability, your end game goal, like what you're doing in the game.
Your-
I'm trying to do this while Tim's trying to do this, and we counter each other and stuff, right? Like,
I think there's one iteration where
disagree.
asymmetry was done poorly, and this is a game I think we've all actually played together. Unfortunately, it's my 110, Planet Unknown. I think it's fair to say it's a 10,
it's a ton of asymmetry. in
but
there.
it's so much asymmetry that it completely breaks the game if you get a
I
wild combo.
love it.
I like
love
it too.
I kinda
unless
tried to do
Bob
that.
Gets it,
Well,
and then
yeah.
I gotta deal with his like water stuff flying all over his
Again,
board.
asymmetric stuff is where you get that feeling in games. You know, you were talking about you don't get that feeling much in like Push Your Luck, where you're like, yeah, and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
when that feeling in a game where you look at, like, I look at Tim's ability, I'm like, you can do what?
Yeah.
That's
I wanna play
broken.
that next time.
But then Tim looks at my guy and he goes, hold on, you can do that? Like, and that, like that feeling is amazing. But we talk about it on the show all the time. Asymmetric stuff. Give it to us.
yeah.
And me too.
Ready?
All right,
Number
number one.
So my number one is really kind of based on my number one game of all time, right? And my number one game's got a lot of these things we've already talked about already, like asymmetric. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, buddy. Boom, nailed it. No, but no, it's got a lot of engine building, right? Things like that. Worker placement, right? Dan's already mentioned it, but Anachrony, right? It's mostly worker placement, but it's got some asymmetry and stuff.
Nah,
in
that game's
there.
best asset is time travel.
Yes, but I guess it's not really a mechanic.
I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't call it a mechanic. But no, I love even like dice placement, which is kind of like a worker placement, but the dice are your workers, right? And there's
sure.
so many good games like Euphoria and Artemis Project, and there's just so many good worker play. The one you mentioned about Gray Fox Games with the
the
Tower
Empire?
Defense After the Empire. There's also a worker placement segment
Yep.
in that too, and so there's just so many good games that implement worker placement that I think it's just the best mechanic around and. I love it. If it's got worker placement in it, Forges of Ravenshire, it's got the
Yeah.
worker placement in it. So
Yeah.
I really love that mechanic. It's in so many games. I really enjoy playing that. There was just no way I could not have that be my number one.
100%.
It's never even gotten close to getting old.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's so
amazing.
good.
Yep.
It's so good.
And somehow keeps being like iterated.
Yeah, like reinvented almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like with like what you're saying with the Shem Phillips, put one down, pick one up, or the one where you get like the 20 workers, and like as the more you start to do things, you get it's stronger.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Right. Yeah. No, I mean,
stuff.
worker placement's super good. My number one, I was looking at like all these games that I absolutely 100% love, and there is a running theme through all of them. Spectre Ops, Cthulhu Wars, Cosmic Encounter, Twilight Inscription, Twilight Imperium, Star Wars Rebellion,
Space?
Root,
Never mind.
asymmetry.
Asymmetry.
Yeah.
Asymmetric player power. DC Deck Builder is asymmetrical.
Yep.
Clank and Taverns of Tiefenthal, like deck building games become asymmetrical because your decks are unique to the engine you have built, And the good ones, Clank excluded, but the good ones you start with like an asymmetric power, right? That you can build on. Cosmic Encounter, right, is completely off the wall bananas asymmetrical, and I
Tapestry.
Tapestry, right? I mean, it is
Pretty much any Civ game.
so as I was drilling into this, right,
Yeah.
and really thinking about
Outside of deck building, how is Clank
Clank's not asymmetric.
Asymmetric.
Well,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
It
like
becomes,
DC. So
by
it
default, is what
becomes
he's
like so
saying.
DC deck builder and like what you start with a superhero that gives you an asymmetric power.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So that starts with an asymmetric ability, which in theory should guide you on how you would build your deck as you.
There is
keep
also an
playing.
expansion or something for Clank that gives you an asymmetric deck
Correct.
that you
Okay.
start with.
Yeah, you can get like a everybody have basically the same power, but like one of your cards will have like a different ability on it also, and that leads to that's from the. I don't want to give too many spoilers.
Right.
Yeah. No, I assumed
yeah, yeah.
I assumed that was a thing in the
Correct.
legacy version of the game.
And like Aeon's End is super asymmetrical with their
Sure.
character abilities and stuff too.
So, but this was just a running theme. I mean, you guys nailed it, right? I mean, it is everything you said. I'm like, oh yeah. I'm just gonna be quiet until it's my turn.
Yeah.
I only
Tim,
jumped in because we
proud
were
of you.
both.
Me too.
Doesn't happen often.
It doesn't.
But no, all of these games that I absolutely love and love playing. I mean, I think that things that Dan and I talk about most that we love in games are like difficult co-ops and asymmetric player powers.
And one other thing.
And one other thing. But I would say like that's one thing you and I are always like boom, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a difficult co-op with asymmetric powers, even better. Because even like Defenders of the Realm, right?
Well, I haven't played it.
Pandemic.
You pointed at me.
Oh, I thought you had played Defenders of the Realm.
No.
But
Still haven't played that with you guys.
Defenders of the Realm.
Oh, wait a
right?
minute. I'm left out.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick. I wrote down 9 things. Like I was going through that big list and kind of narrowing them down. And you guys have nailed every single one I didn't put on my list yet, except for one. So I'm curious.
Oh,
It's not gonna be mine.
No,
it's Dan or
okay, we'll
Andrews.
see. Go ahead.
It's I know what Dan's is.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
okay.
the Where's Waldo mechanic.
Oh, that's it.
It's in the micro
I
macro.
was gonna say so. Micro Macro.
Crime City. Where's Waldo?
Go ahead, Dan.
that's my
Okay,
number
so
one.
my number one is the most fun I have in games, right? And so the other night, we had a game night, and we played
Oh,
two
I know
games.
what it is.
We played 2 games that
And
night.
it ain't on yours.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah, it's not on mine. Yeah, talking about. I'm out.
We played 2 games that night. One was Dune Imperium, and it was the most intense game of Dune Imperium I've ever had. First of all, it went almost 3 freaking hours because it was a teaching game,
Okay.
and 2 of the players were just,
AP'd.
yeah, it was crazy.
That happens.
Again, though,
It's rough.
I was a little annoyed just because, it was like 1:30 in the morning.
Sure.
But that is the one game that in my review I talked about this, and I'll still say it to this day, there's a lot going on for people's first game. So let them think it out. Their second game will go way faster. But anyway, I played Dune Imperium. It's one of my favorite games. Definitely my top 10. Amazing at deck building, worker placement, all that. It's extremely intense game. Came down to the end game cards. And then we played Blood on the Clock Tower. And I do not have more fun than playing a social deduction game. I just don't. I can sit and have an amazing, intense game of Dune, and I can love it. But when I play Blood on the Clock Tower, I will laugh for an
Oh my
hour and a
gosh.
Half.
Well,
and
and-
there's nothing better as a human
Laugh
than
or
just being able to
cackle?
just laugh. Oh, it's both. A sinister laugh.
Well, here's the other thing, though, right? Is your enjoyment is then multiplied though because you play that game for an hour and a half, and you're just like, while you're playing it, and then you spend another 30 minutes plus
Just talking about it.
post mortem.
And we did.
Dissect
And that's
going
part
over
of
the
why the
story.
night went so late is because
Yeah.
there was a good 30, 40 minutes after Blood on the Clock Tower where we just talked for a while before we set up Dune because that's just what you have to do. And as a matter of fact, we taught 3 new players Blood on the Clock Tower that night. I believe all 3 said, can we just play that again immediately? And we were just like, not everyone's going to want to do that. We won't have the player count to do it again. So not tonight. There have been nights where we've just played it twice in a row, but it was already kind of late. People showed up late and stuff. So we're just not going to do it a second time. But I literally was talking to someone. I said, how many people do you think are going to say, let's play the second time afterwards? Because it happens every time. It is just nonstop fun. It's not like there's intensity, there's strategy, there's thinking. Again, compared to other social deduction games, Blood on the Clock Tower is more of a puzzle solving game.
Yeah.
The whole point is you have all these pieces, and it's not just Werewolf where it's like, well, let's just find the guy and stuff, right? Like there is an intense puzzle going on that you're trying to put together. You put together, hold on, Tim's information conflicts with this information, but my information can kind of clear that up as long as my information isn't poison. I need to figure out if there's a poisoner here. What all do you feel like you were poisoned night 1? So no one was poisoned night 1. There's probably not a poisoner.
I don't want to
And-
talk about my first time. playing that game.
yeah. And all these gears are turning for this puzzle in your head. And so there is this deep strategy, there is this intensity, but at the end of the day, you're just sitting there laughing.
Yeah.
And there was an entire night where we had such a crazy or such such a crazy night and morning that the next day I said, I'm not talking to anyone. And I just laid on the couch, just thinking about everything that happened that day and stuff. And then people came back to town and everyone was like, okay, did anyone learn anything new? And I was just like, I didn't. I didn't talk to anyone. Again, social deduction is my bag, baby. There's nothing that makes me just have a fun time more than anything else. Is it the best designed things in the world and stuff? Is it the most cost effective things in the world? Sometimes maybe not. But at the end of the day, I play games for fun and for social interactions.
Yeah.
And social deduction games is what gives you both of those better than anything else.
I will say the only knock, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, is that social deduction games can be group dependent.
100%. That's the biggest negative. They're group dependent.
You can have some
And
real
look at the group
duds.
that I had to play with, so
Or people.
There's a reason that Bob's the only one that hasn't played with us yet.
But I will also say though that social deduction games and the group, especially the group we have going now,
It's very conducive.
It
for
does.
these types
It
of
does
games.
exactly what I want out of board games, and that's like the fellowship with friends and laughing, and we're all carrying on. We're having a good time. We're accusing each other of crazy things.
Just nonstop.
And,
just
and
having
a
a
lot of
blast.
these games are like, do we know this person well dependent?
Yeah.
Right. And I think in like the group that we game in, I'm kind of the
You
one
were
of
the newer guys,
and
yeah,
I've been
for
here
sure.
for a few months, so I feel like I know you guys now, and I can say like, yeah, it's definitely Mike or something.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like I can start to get to know your personalities a little bit
we
more.
have all
now that I've
crashed
known
in a
you.
house hostel style. You know what I mean?
Also,
And-
going on Tim's thing though, and this came into play the last game night that I was just at that none of you guys came to.
because you were there.
Exactly.
Friday.
But going on Tim's point, he's brought this up before. Sometimes social deduction games are the perfect way to break the ice with someone that you don't know too. Bob prefers playing with random people.
do.
It's easier to not get read by these random people, and you're just meeting a bunch of people, and you might
Yeah.
make friends out of that.
Yeah.
and stuff
It's
like
a
that.
great way to. It's a great icebreaker.
Yeah.
And then but here's the other thing, right? Is like most friendships, right, start with
End.
some kind of great story and then end abruptly.
yes.
But like Dan and I's friendship, I like our story, like on how we became friends because of
sure.
Lords of Hellas, right? Like I like Bob and I's story. I don't like Andrew and I's, but we're working on it.
Yeah, well,
But I mean,
it was more of a cry of desperate help, messaging all three of you on Facebook.
Usually it's me crying out desperately. But no, I mean, but like, so if you meet somebody via like a Blood on the Clock Tower game and you're like, okay, I'm in this game group and I don't really know these guys that well. And then you have this crazy story to tell.
Yeah.
Like if I had just met Jonathan and we were the twins like
Right.
that one night, it would be like, that would be the best story. Be like, Jonathan and I were twins. I've never met this dude. You know what I mean?
Tim's never had so much hair in his life.
Also true. But yes, I mean, 100%. It is just
I mean-
the social interaction aspect of it is amazing.
Again, that night there were 3 new people, and they hit it off with us perfectly. Now, one of them was Mike's uncle, and the other 2 came together. They knew each other, and they obviously were friends with someone. Someone invited them, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
who.
I don't know who they were.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yours.
I don't remember who invited them, but like
guy on
we
the couch.
all hit it off. I talked to, as a matter of fact, my first 2 conversations I had were 2 of the new guys. I just walked up to one of the new guys. And I was like, "Hey, so if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to tell you some information. Feel free to give me some information back." Right? And we were kind of talking about it. Then I went to someone else, and then while I was talking to the second new guy, the third new guy asked if he could join us, and he walked up. So I talked to all 3 new guys before anyone else. It was pretty cool. But the third new guy, again, this is just this like bonding, icebreaking kind of thing. The third new guy walked up and he said, if you don't know Blood on the Clock Tower, the rules won't make as much sense. But he said, guys, I've been in this town a long time. I know a lot of people and I recognize every face. I don't think anyone here's from out of town. And I said, was that the best librarian claim I've ever heard? And he said, maybe. And I said, I love you. Because librarian starts knowing how many outsiders there are. That's a role. So he walked up and how he said that wasn't, I might be the librarian. He walked up and said, I don't see any new
Yeah, he
faces
said it
here.
in
You know,
character, like,
and it
on
was
theme.
amazing.
Yeah, very in
I
character.
instantly loved this guy.
Yeah,
you know,
That's cool.
So yeah. Anyway, social deduction. Bring it on. I love it.
There you go.
See, I have a similar philosophy about board games. I think there's nothing better if you're meeting somebody or inviting them over your house for the first time than to play a game with them because even if you don't, you already have something in common with them, and that's the rules, right? You have a game and you have a mission together, whether it's competitive or cooperative. I don't agree with the social deduction part, just in case, like just off chance they are not that kind of board game player, even if they don't play board
Sure,
games,
sure,
if you're
sure.
introducing them to something as deep as Blood on the Clock Tower, I mean, if they've played board games before, then great. That's. But if I'm inviting somebody over from like school or something, and I say like, "Hey, come on over. We'll play
Codenames
Wingspan or
Codenames
something, or Wingspan."
Codenames
Yeah.
is a much easier like I don't know
Intro
you-
type of game.
Intro type of game.
Well,
sure.
also going on that, I have the caveat that all three people that were new knew we were going to be playing Blood on the Clock Tower
Okay.
and said that they would enjoy. Like, yes, I would love to try that kind
Okay.
of thing. It's not like they
Sure.
were just blindly
Ambushed.
thrown
Right,
in the
some
Blood
guy-
on the
yeah,
Clock
you
Tower.
Well,
Play
usually
ball.
how Dan gets people to play Blood on the Clock Tower is he
Blindfold.
stalks them,
Yeah.
abducts them from alleyways, blindfold, chloroform.
Difficult on a bicycle, but somehow I'm up to 30.
You want the bicycle or them on the
He's
bicycle?
gotten good at it.
Yeah. It's the basket.
Yeah,
I'll hear it in the
big
video.
basket.
Yeah. Okay, so my number one
yeah.
is yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, finish us off,
Social
Johnny.
This is
deduction.
our last one. It is not social deduction, even though
bad.
some of my favorite games are that.
Can it be asymmetry again? So
Yeah,
we can share one?
I mean, in Blood on the Clock Tower, everyone has an asymmetric player power. Just saying.
It is a beautiful game too. That box.
Oh, it's amazing.
I
Yeah,
don't
that
know,
grimoire.
whose game is
Jesse.
Jesse's.
Oh, it's
yeah.
Jesse's, yeah.
So it's kind of a 2-for-1 because I think both of them are number one and one spawned from the other. So I'm going to say 90s deck building and 2000s plus deck building. So deck building from the 90s, I mean actually building a deck. So
Construction.
deck construction. But it didn't used to be called deck construction. It was deck
Sure.
building because
It
you're
was.
building a deck.
This is
Because they didn't know what they were doing.
Because they were inventing something, Dan.
Because they were inventing,
Yeah.
something new. So you were deck building, and then what's his name?
Richard Garfield.
Richard Garfield.
No, the inventor of Dominion.
Oh, yeah, what's his
arguably
name?
one of the first, like Gavakio or something.
How do we not know that?
How do we not know it?
That's not a good
Who?
game.
It's on the screen.
This guy.
Here it is.
No, it's not.
Problem
This guy.
solved.
It's not because I don't know his name. It's because the font of his name on the board or on the box itself is so unreadable.
Yeah.
I just never took the time to learn it.
Yeah.
But deck building, in general, I love the idea of you've got 1,000 cards, make your deck. Like, think about the meta. Think about what your opponent likes to play, and then beat them with your deck. This goes into Hearthstone, sure, Magic the Gathering, even though it's not my game of choice,
Yeah.
but Android Netrunner, games where you are my most recent favorite game, Evian, which
Shards
is
of
right here, Shards of Infinity.
Shards of
know
Infinity.
you-
Shards of Infinity is deck builders.
Sure,
not
you're-
deck,
I guess
I'm talking
we're
about
not
deck
structured yet.
construction
Right.
right now. But
Marvel Champions.
Yeah.
You
Deck
construct your own, like those living card games like that. where you can
Donald
build your own
X.
deck.
Vaccarino.
Vaccarino.
Cha-cha-cha.
Yeah, okay. So that sort of deck building where you are coming up with your deck. What kind of decks are people playing right now, and how can I build a deck to outsmart them? The fact that even a terrible deck can statistically still beat a world champion deck. There is a chance, like to use a
Due to
magic.
draws and
Yeah,
stuff,
like they might mana flood, and you might beat them with some crappy little pauper deck, and then. Into the actual deck building that we're used to nowadays. I mean, it all
Shards of
started with
Infinity.
Shards of
Sorry.
Infinity.
Just wanted to
Started with
mention it now.
Dominion, and that's great. But I mean, to invent a genre from a previous genre is just amazing. I mean, Dune Imperium inspired me to start like making a board game. Clank is good. I'm not as blown away by it
love
as other people because.
But you don't watch
not-
movies.
Not because of not because of the deck building. The deck building is amazing in Clank. Such a diverse group of cards. I don't think I've seen the same card multiple times in Clank because
Right.
there's just so many.
Right.
But the board movement
love
of
it.
Clank.
Well, I more
Wait
so
till you see
just
the new
think-
one.
Yeah, I want more choices when I start off. If everyone is going
Oh,
one of two
no.
directions, it doesn't feel as.
Sure, like starting in a cave and then branching out.
I want
like
10
that,
choices on my first two actions. I want where I'm going. So Clank, the deck building part of that is great.
Well, also, I think that if Clank came out today, it wouldn't be heralded
Oh,
as
yeah.
much. You know, like when it came out, it was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
this game's
5 years ago,
combining
no
these
other-
Smash
no
these
other
two
game did
concepts
it,
together.
yeah.
It's
like
awesome.
this,
Sure.
and nowadays it's kind of par for the course. So, yeah.
Yeah, raise the bar.
Yep. So Shards of Infinity, all of these new deck builders, they do a great job. I love them, and it's just what is going to come out next for deck builders, so I can spend more money on sleeves. Like
Yeah.
it is the number one. I think it's become so popular that it's almost like, oh, another deck builder.
Well,
But that's awesome because I want more deck builders.
I do
wanna
too.
see
I
what
talk to
people
Bob every once in a while about what's going to be the next worker placement deck building game, like of that combined thing, because they're just it's such a good.
I hope
combination.
Wolfgang Warsh makes it.
I know,
That's
right?
all I say.
So deck building and deck building. It's my number one.
So on my honorable mentions now, I'll go on to some honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions.
The one you guys didn't hit.
Yeah.
Time turn / like real time, right? Like I love Captain Sonar, that real time chaosness. The I know you don't care for, but Sorcerer City, I love those timed rounds.
Oh,
You're
sure.
trying to build your city as fast as you can go. Like I enjoy that. Like
That's not my problem with Sorcerer City, but
Sure.
but yes, that is a
like
game
that
that does
part of
that.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
It
sure.
might have been in my top 10.
And that's
It's
also
just-
a little
it definitely
pressure
wasn't
luck.
going to be in
With
my top
Sorcerer
5.
City is also some pressure luck,
a
isn't it?
little bit
because you can stop.
You can stop whenever you want, but I mean, like if you have awesome tiles, why do you want to stop playing those awesome tiles?
Right,
Yeah.
fair.
So I just buy
get awesome tiles.
Yeah.
Duh.
But no, like analysis paralysis can be such a bore sometimes. And like when you're sitting there and you're just waiting for somebody else to go, you just be
me.
like, oh, time's up. You're done. Sorry. You had like the
Nice,
same amount of time as
yeah.
everybody else. Your time is over. War Room's got one of those things. So you got, there's a big hourglass that you flip over and you got so much time. To
An
plan
hour.
all your- yeah, it's 10 minutes. You have 10, to plan all of your moves and attacks and everything. And after
minutes
that's
is a
over,
long
no, the war
time.
is moving on. We're going on. You guys can think about it all you want, but we're attacking, you know? So, and I like that pressure.
I really like that mechanic. It's sort of like bag building for me. It was one I looked at, but I don't know that there's enough games that I play
Sure.
or
right.
Well,
Which is
think
why I
with
didn't
me.
make the short list.
Like I love Captain Sonar, and I think XCOM does it super well.
Yeah, XCOM,
But like
great.
overall, is it a favorite of mine? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's top 10 for me. Like if I was gonna play chess, I don't want to play unless we're playing timed, right? Because I don't want you to take 30 minutes to go. Boop. No, come on, let's keep going.
Yeah, I want to lose at this real quick so we can play something else.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the one other thing I wanted to mention, there wasn't a name for this, but it's something that Planet Unknown implements that I would like to see more implement with. Maybe between two castles of Madeline, but the end game scores where you're just kind of
Oh, yeah.
competing with your neighbors and
Yes,
stuff like
very
that.
cool.
I think that is super cool. Like having the end, like almost like the market you were talking about. How there's a public and
Compete-
the private.
yeah, it's like
There's
go
a
with your
public one for
neighbors,
everybody, but
right,
Yeah, we're just
yeah.
kind of competing over here. Like
Sure.
we're on the other side of the galaxy. Doesn't matter what you're doing over there. We're just competing.
Just to
next each other.
clarify on what Bob said, in Planet Unknown,
Yes.
you have these goals, but you are only competing with your neighbors. So in a 4-player game, I would be if this were a circle, I would only be competing with Bob and Dan, and I wouldn't be competing with Tim.
And they're on
but Tim would
individual
be
ones.
And
competing.
that would be, and they'd be different.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, we'd have one we're competing against, and Tim and I would have a different one that we're competing against. And I think that's just a really
Very
neat,
well
like,
done.
Yeah.
Neighbors being implemented in general is just a really good thing that's taking off too. You're
Yeah.
right. Tapestry, the fact that, okay, either I need to have this type of technology or one of my neighbors does because I can see them working
And
on
that
it.
makes sense,
Kinda
dude.
copy
It
that.
makes
Yes,
sense.
I
And I'm
like that.
surprised you didn't bring up Tapestry a lot today. I was expecting
Well,
Tapestry
a lot
in
of
the first 10
a lot of
minutes.
the things he brought up are in Tapestry.
Very Tapestry.
And
yes.
someone else did. I think
I
Tim
did.
did.
Yeah,
Bob.
yeah. Well, you threw in on one.
On yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that Epic Spell Wars, Neighbors.
Yeah.
is all about your
Doesn't
neighbors.
Scythe mention neighbors as well? I thought it had something that mentioned. Oh yeah. It's there's
yeah,
that
you're,
one thing that
enlist.
whenever one of them gets
when
a
you
coin,
enlist,
you get a
yes.
the
coin
people
or
next to you
something. Yeah.
Get a
triggers
thing.
coins. Yep.
Yep.
Get a thing.
So obviously Jamie's just all over that
Yeah.
kind
Listen,
of idea.
He's on it.
Jamie is on it most of the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most of
Jamie's
the time.
really interesting though because he has. I only say this because I've like kind of studied him a little bit. He's got tenets that, like, in order to make a Stonemaier game, it has to check all of these boxes.
Sure.
Okay.
But his last 2 games, Rolling Realms and this little 10-year anniversary game,
The Rolling Realms ones, that's kind of like a
That's
offshoot thing.
That's
That was
that's an
passion
outlier
project
because
kind of
it seemed like
it was a
a
COVID
project
project.
kind of
A
thing.
COVID
Sure.
project.
Yeah.
it's just he hasn't released what are called like main event games as much. Well, the
Well,
last
Red Rising
Libertalia?
and Pendulum.
Pendulum.
Libertalia.
Well, sure, I'm just
well,
saying
those,
that
are,
the
those
last
could be
two
considered
before
main
this
event
thing
games.
that
They're
he's
just
talking
not
about.
as long as like those.
I
hard
guess what
hitters
I
like
meant-
Scythe and Tapestry.
I guess
Oh,
I
I
was
see what
going
you
under
mean.
a different thing as you, as I was just saying the last 2 weren't received very well.
Okay.
And then after Red Rising and Pendulum, we kind of had that dip into Rolling Realms and stuff like this, which again, not hating on it. I actually
Rolling
think
Realms
Rolling
is
Realms
pretty fun.
pretty fun.
Yeah.
But we haven't, like you're saying, the Libertalia is the next main game since
Yeah.
I think Pendulum. I think Pendulum was after Red Rising, right? I don't remember.
No, it was
I
before.
No,
think
so Red Rising was the
last
last one then, yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Looking forward to what he's got though.
And I think
That
the
was-
Libertalia kind of
Sure.
a little bit, and I blame the art style. Like, I don't think the art style is that great.
I don't like the art style either, but I can see why they did it.
Sure.
You know, mass market kind of family friendly art thing they're going for.
Sure.
I mean, all of my honorable mentions would be everything you guys have mentioned except for Press Your Luck, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I like all of these. They're
Right.
good mechanisms. These are my top 5. Again, if I had to make a top 6, deck building would be in there. So.
Yeah, no, I think we went in,
pretty good.
and that was awesome, really, guys, because there wasn't a ton of crossover, but I think where there was, I think we all sort of brought a little bit of a slightly different angle or approach to it also. So
While going
nice
through the
work
list,
on
I
that.
was just like, it's amazing how much we just ignore these micro mechanics that make games. Like worker placement is fun. Catch-up mechanics fix broken games, right? And so
or
I
just
wanted
make
to
or
highlight.
keep game. I don't even know that it fixes a broken game as much as it makes a
keeps it
game fun.
competitive. Yeah.
I was
Because
surprised we
it keeps
didn't see
people in the
any-
game because it's keeps it
I
competitive.
guess I just see a game that suffers from hardcore runaway leaders broken.
Yeah.
Like that's just how I look at it. The game's not fun. We can't play this fully. The second you get far enough ahead, we might as well stop playing.
I guess I don't want the ketchup. I get my only problem with you saying it the way that you are is I feel like that the ketchup mechanic is a band-aid that we made up. And it's like, no. The ketchup mechanic is like a feature, not a bug, right? Like we didn't just put it in there
Or
because
a
we
bug
were
fixer.
Yeah.
too.
Or like
Patch.
we patched this, after release, we saw that this was a huge flaw.
We need a hot fix for this. Yeah.
Right. But ketchup mechanics in games when implemented well are so important, and you're right, to the enjoyment of the game.
Correct.
And everything. And I do agree, right? If there is a runaway leader, right, an aspect where it's like, if I just do this one thing, or I buy this one card, or I'm able to buy this building or take this one action over and over, you break the game. Well, sure. Terrible
Right.
game.
Because the thing I guess with the Band-Aid kind of thing is they're clearly implemented during the design process. Not like they designed the game and then they're like, crap. Let's go. But really though, picture in your head playing Quacks without the rat tails. That game gets considerably worse.
Yes.
Could be rough.
Agreed.
Agreed. I mean, the
that's
rat
all
tail
I'm
strategy
saying.
is well,
Legit
it's
strategy.
like, so would you call the Loki strategy and Blood Rage a catch-up mechanic?
I don't know it.
Oh, you don't play Blood Rage. A biscuit.
I've heard about it a lot, but I
Bob,
don't.
let me ask you about the ketchup mechanic in Concordia now. I'm just kidding.
I thought you were coming out with a blood rage question. I was going to answer it for you.
But do you think that, or well, you guys
I
play
wouldn't
Blood
consider
Rage?
it a catch-up mechanic.
Okay, I'm just
But
curious.
it's a legit strategy from the beginning, and you could try to purposefully lose a bunch of battles and whatnot, and then gain all those extra points for
Right.
doing that.
But
I
you
wouldn't-
would do that strategy because you're not getting the other cards that might make your army.
Yeah,
more
so if
powerful.
the second and third area, if you got your butt handed to you in the first one, be like, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and keep losing. all
Well,
my
Plus,
Loki.
based on the
Yeah.
quests that you have, you might want to intentionally.
I guess
throw
I just
these
don't know if
into
that's a
Valhalla.
catch-up mechanic or just a fallback strategy.
don't
I'm
know.
losing.
Yeah.
Time to try this method.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. it's interesting.
Where
to talk
usually
about.
catch-up mechanics, you don't have a choice, right? It's
Sure.
like you're this far behind the leader, you get this many rat
Come on,
tails.
buddy. Come on.
Yeah, you can have this.
No, it's
Anyway.
fair. It was just something I think people will have opinions on. What do you think?
Wait,
You know?
you guys have opinions?
Oh, they do, and they're going to let us know in the comments.
Sure
Are they?
about this.
We're all hive mind for all of our crossover.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm surprised I didn't see any tile placement.
I do like.
Not a lot of
I
people-
do like me a good tile.
My
placement.
runner-up was 4X.
I don't know if it would be in.
I just
Yeah,
I meant tile placement.
one of
Yeah.
my games that I actually didn't mention that I could have mentioned on most of the things I like is Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea because it's asymmetric. There's area control. There's a lot of things.
Checks a
There's
lot
no
of those
deck
boxes.
building, I guess, but also like exploration would be one where you can go and so some of that is tile flipping. Some of it's just flipping over tokens on a map.
Yeah.
As you get
Seeing
through.
what happens.
See what happens. But yeah, so many good mechanics. Please let us know what some of your favorites are, and whether you agree with us or don't. And if you do, what are some of the games that you love that use those
That
mechanics?
use the mechanics. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
do you
even
call it
those- even those
mechanics?
micro mechanics that Dan kind of brought up. Like,
Or
what
the
are those like
macro mechanics?
macro?
I'm just
big.
messing.
Like it comes in a box. Right. That's
Yeah,
a macro.
there's a
mechanic.
game.
Big mechanic.
Every game.
Or is it
follows
mechanism?
that.
Hey,
Debate that.
you know something that I want done. I don't care if you guys do it or if we do it. Like I might just do it in my spare time, but also you guys try to do it. Pick a game that has all 5 of his in it and say it because then he'll love that game, right? Pick a game that has
yeah.
all 5 of mine in it and say it, and then I'll like that
Well, I want
game.
to look at my list
right?
now. I want to see what there's got to be.
Because that'd be interesting.
An asymmetrical deck builder with press your luck area majority with
Area majority is the only hard one there.
Yeah.
Daniels would be Cosmic Encounter, but you'd have to be a race where you actually place a worker somewhere.
There you go.
Place a worker somewhere.
Because it's got social deduction in it.
That's funny. That's tough.
That would be real tough.
That'd be tough.
Let
The
us
backbone.
know.
Let me know if it's out
Let
there.
us know.
But yeah, guys. All right. As always, thank you so much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this. We are going to be coming out with more top 5s and 10s.
Yeah.
So hop on the Discord. Let us know in the YouTube comments or on Facebook what other top 5s and 10s you'd like to see. And do you want a 5 or a 10? Because we could go all day. I could do this all day.
There you go.
I can't.
Andrew, that is a
Captain America.
that's a Captain America, and that is a character, a movie character
Marvel.
based.
Yeah.
Marvel or
On a
DC? Are
comic
they
book.
like
Oh, no, it's Marvel.
multi-universes?
No. I see what he's trying to do, and I will
Yeah.
not be prodded by that.
I know some of the differences.
Letters, basically.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, for the board game rundown, I've been Tim.
That was Bob.
Andrew.
And Dan.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.